Hello everybody and welcome back to Electric Mindset. Today I have a really cool top-down action-adventure game that has you flying airships and looking for a way to save your people. It goes way beyond what I thought it was going to be. Let's take a look. The graphic settings are simple, but all you really need. The art style is one of my favorite things about the game, so I couldn't ask for much else. The first thing I was greeted with was a splash screen from the dev asking for feedback, so if you enjoy the look of the game, then keep that in mind. After that, you get the coolest looking title screen you've probably seen in a while. And this gives you a good peek at the talent Hungry Couch Games is bringing to the table. The story has you playing as Eva, an ambitious, energetic, and self-proclaimed captain since she was a child. After an impactful opening, you begin playing as a 7 years older Eva in a much more dire time. Something called the Swarm is coming, being hidden by a menacing storm only a few have ever been able to enter. Your hometown is under attack, or rather, under forceful control by Kane, a real scumbag and his gang of glorified pirates. He has a twisted belief that only him and his Kane's Falcons gang can save the land by any means necessary. If that means abusing, manipulating, and sacrificing some people, then so be it. The game's story picks up quite a lot despite not being finished yet. I beat the current version of the early access game in 22 hours, which is wild. On top of that, the areas you see later on are a nice shift and makes me excited for the future. The game plays from a top-down perspective, and it uses the perspective really well. A lot of the times when I see someone commit to this type of perspective, the character design takes a small hit, but Hungry Couch Studios has done such an incredible job with the portrait art that the characters feel more alive and real than some 3D characters. The game has a strong focus on combat, and a lot of work has gone into making the combat feel good. The weapon customization wasn't just looks either, instead offering tangible change to your weapon state. As you imagined, the airship side of things received the same amount of attention. As you fly around the world, you'll be hopping onto other ships, scavenging for supplies, fighting off pirates, managing your fuel, and so much more. A really interesting mechanic shows its face when having shootouts in a storm. As the wind gets stronger, you'll notice your bullet curve due to the high speeds. Such a nice touch. One thing that really surprised me was how awesome the stealth mechanics were when you use them properly. The game changes as you get further into it, not always in a thematic sense, but rather in terms of approach. The game becomes hard. You need to really put time into getting better if you want to stand a chance against Kane's gang, the Falcons. Fortunately, the game's gameplay loop is enjoyable and addicting. Upgrading your stuff while you explore and fix up the town feels awesome to do. To give you an example of how awesome some of the upgrades can be though, I unlocked a shotgun barrel that would restore 10% of my clip every time I dodge rolled. There's no cooldown on rolling, so essentially it was just infinite shotgun ammo, and it feels awesome yet surprisingly balanced with the difficulty. By the end of what early access has available to you, you'll have your hands on some insane weapons and ship upgrades. Not only do the upgrades to the ships look cool, but since you can't equip every upgrade at once, you find yourself strategizing in what would work best in the given situation. The first two sort of jaw-dropping moments were seeing the title screen and seeing the parallaxing effects used when flying. Somehow, Hungry Couch Studios has managed to make the game feel varied and unique despite taking place in the sky amongst floating islands and cities. I did notice in some of the larger cities though that there seemed to be some stuttering, but overall it never got too bad. This is obviously something that could be addressed in a patch though. The biggest issues I ran into during my time so far with the game was after a cutscene faded to black, the game wouldn't come back. I had to reset back to my ship in order to fix it, but I have no idea how to fix enemies becoming invincible instead of dying. With all that said, I found the environments and enemies changing later on in the game to be really cool. Suddenly it can almost appear to be a whole new world, and when things are working smoothly, the whole game comes together. The music goes from bringing a sense of adventure to a lot of tension when needed, and the grapple hook sounds fun to use. I played 22 hours over the course of 2 days and never got tired of it. Now in terms of if I would recommend the game or not, I would say that heavily depends on your tolerance for bugs and glitches at the moment. As much as I love the game, I did have many restarts and speed bumps in my time with it, and despite being pretty forgiving about it, I did find it getting on even my nerves at times. Keep in mind, however, that this game is in early access and it's looking for feedback to become the awesome game that it could be. So to put it clearly, yes, I recommend the game as long as you understand it is early access and the baggage that often comes with that. If you can look past the bugs, you have such an incredible game to enjoy. The game is $22 Canadian, but if I really enjoy a game and it sits at an hour of gameplay per dollar spent, I say that's a real steal. Lastly, of course, I want to thank the developer, Hungry Couch Games, and the Indie Game Collective for enabling me to show this game to you. Well, that's what I wanted to show, and if you enjoyed the video, it would be really helping me to support more developers if you like and subscribe to see more content from me. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.